Alright, here we are in the magic of turn 24. Getting close to the end, I think. Duke Charles opened things up. Salvo fire, which I should mark. And he wrecked. This hedgehog just got demolished. Even though the hedgehog had some defensive bonuses, he ended up destroying it completely and taking that space. But that was just it. That was it. Just one activation there. I got to be careful never to fall into rally with this command as long as this one's in it. Alright, wowzer. What do we got here? The cav up here that was in charge basically got disintegrated when it moved into rally and tried to rally in front of the guns here. The other one here has been taking pot shots when it can, recover. It's recovering a pistol. It didn't have any chances while it was in charge, so it's getting ready for another shot. My hope had been, well, I wanted to get this unit out of the way, which is one of the reasons I was turning it around and trying to get it out of there, and it took some fire. But over here, Bernard's wing slipped into charge. Now, I've got to fire this artillery. It didn't get to continue, but moved up. Introductory fire against this. Did some damage. Was down to 1 strength point. I attacked it with both of these Catholic units, and they routed away. We're talking like a +2, I think here, maybe +3, and they rolled a total of 3, so minuscule roll, and just running away. I doubt that I checked a leader loss check there either for the melee. All right. I know I did one for the fire combat. And Bernard himself has gotten these guys into open order so that I can sweep them down and try to throw them into this block. This is just, both armies are really hammered at this point. I think overall the Swedes have won. I'm not sure about the scenario. Anyway, let me try that cannon fire. I got a clear shot finally lined up. And we finish up turn 24 there. With what? Damned if I know. The main infantry was unable to get into charge, so the Swedes have just pushed forward a little bit. The cav back here restoring itself up to make ready. May be able to do anything. I would have really liked to press that attack. This guy was facing this way. We had all these damaged and routed units there. The rally came about. They didn't get a continuation, but moved it into receive charge. Managed to get a couple of units back into shape. This guy's going to be routing off board, or towards off board. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll just keep running. And this guy too has to figure out his way out of there. I was hoping to get some additional fire against him. Is he going to attract any fire? Yeah, he's going to attract some fire there, so I'll wait. He might be gone, trying to get out of there. He gets some flank generated fire as he runs by. But, yeah, things are a little bit stronger here, but still, the Swedes look like they're in much, much better shape than the Catholics do there. If this doesn't end up a Swedish victory, this scenario is seriously unbalanced, because I just don't see how they can do much better than they've done, except with an incredibly ineffectual Spanish player maybe or something. I don't know. Alright, on to the next turn. Turn 25 starts off. Got to be careful, so we had to drop these out of rally. I think that's where they were, and into receive charge, and they can continue their rallying in that status. Then going over to this to Bernard's infantry. He drops into make ready out of charge so that he doesn't have to slam forward. He can rally these formation, reform a little bit. He wanted to move forward and do a firing into the rear of this Catholic unit, which would have been kind of cute, but this cav might have been able to destroy him if he did that. Fairly likely. He's only got 1 strength point. Arquebusiers have a good shot at that. I don't know how much damage they've taken. Only 1. So they'd be at like +2 on the table. Maybe about a 50-50 chance of just wiping that out. And they take the commander with them. Over here, though, we're moving Bernard himself and, well, this unit, which is probably not in good shape either. I see a a mandatory casualty threshold marker there, so he's got problems. Got a few more in make ready, and then we've got these guys who are going to be kind of a problem. I gotta kind of run around. I can reform this, swing this around. These guys have to get back in command, and then run over to those guys and try to save this guy from running off the board. And at the end of 25, one exciting thing happened. Everything more or less happened as I described, except for one thing. This unit back in Rally has managed to launch itself, charge up, and destroy yet another one of these Imperial or Catholic infantry formations, busting that up again. The holdings on the hill are getting smaller and smaller. There's really nothing here. Now they're in alignment to hit this guy from behind. If they got to get out of charge to do that. They lost their leader, but that's no big deal. They'll just get him back. And that's the end of this turn as we move to 26. Okay, now after 26, beginning of 27, this center got into charge. This guy's the cav down here. And moved forward, but I chose not to actually make an assault. I just did the advancing fire. I didn't do a salvo. I was planning on doing a salvo fire on the continuation. One didn't happen. That would give it a bonus in terms of assaulting him, unless he's one of the specials. And I don't think he is, although with that Aragon on him, one wonders. Alagon, yeah, that is one of the specials, so I may not want to remember. I got to roll on this, and that'll reduce my chance of fire. It'll reduce the morale check, but it does create a bonus in the melee, I guess, if the morale check doesn't happen. I would get rid of that if the morale check happened, I think. Anyway, reforming basically the entire Catholic line up here, trying to get into a position where I can resist what's coming forward. The main center is in charge. It's going to be hitting hard. These guys, I've moved the cav. This is actually the right flank cav. The left flank cav's up here. The right flank cav's over here. Protecting this side against Duke Charles, who has a preponderance of cavalry against him. He's got more cav than all the Swedes together. He's got 4 to their 2, but it's what we got, right? Alright, time for cleanup. Alright, turn 27 opens up with the cav charge, and I'm breaking this unit. Actually, I'm not sure it's that unit that broke. Damned, I can't tell. No, actually the cav slid by this unit, I think, and hedgehogged it. Then we had these units firing on this one, sent it flying, but this unit came charging with momentum into the rear here, and then ended up breaking and flying away. It failed in its attack. So a lot of confusion going on there, actually. The continuation didn't happen, and now we're running over to the Catholic wing, trying to reform itself with a unit running off here. The commander down here. It's really an ugly situation for him. End of the line for turn 27 there. And what do we have? Well, damned if I know. Trying to figure out where I was. We got the Swedes marched up here and broke. One of the units destroyed from trying to engage with this directly. The other one moved forward and got hit by this cav, actually, in an interception and broken. A slight advantage, I think, for the cav, but mainly it broke up the attack. This guy couldn't get into a charge. He was going to attack it over here somewhere. Yeah. Anyway, then we go over to Duke Charles, and he's not able to get his command into charge. He really wanted to. He wanted to strike the back of this, finish off the last of Bernard's infantry, maybe slip around and hedgehog this unit and prepare it to be attacked by the main Imperial wing here. Using these maybe to hit this cav as well. Just break up this whole command. Couldn't do it. Instead, they stood around and they reloaded their pistols and got into formation and everything. And, well, we got an important leader. Not important in terms of points, I guess. Ooh, a 0. He's going to come back. I don't remember who he is. I think Rothstein. I think he's in charge of this infantry wing here. I hope. Alright, time to do a little bit of cleanup. And we got some routing units to run. These guys have to find their way back towards Sweden, or towards the Swedish edges, and these guys towards the Spanish. Turn 28 more chaos. The Swedish Central, I don't know, infantry or whatever, is charged forward, knocked another unit back here, destroyed another unit here, or else knocked them back. I'm not sure which. We've got routing units all over the place. And then the Cav went and just moved to make ready and started reforming. Right now the big problem I have is, oh, these guys are in charge too. I gotta jump to them. I thought I was going over to the Imperials. They're gonna fall into rally immediately. They only have one unit in its routing, so they don't have much option there. That's gonna just be an auto rally. But I gotta take care of that. But then I gotta go over, and the Catholics are gonna start getting their make readies. Then I switch back over here. I don't know what's going to happen here. Basically, these guys have to try to put together a defense. Duke Charles has a decent force. The center, the stuff that was up on the hill, though, that's pretty much wrecked, and I've got to try to fix that, hopefully without falling into a rally. And now moving into 29, and things went very badly for the Swedes here. Mainly Duke Charles. One activation, he just swept forward, charging with everything. The infantry didn't hit. These guys just fired in. These guys got stopped by the Swedish Cav, but then Charles himself slammed into that and destroyed that. This is pretty much the extent of that wing at this point. These guys slammed into the infantry back there, which was not routing anymore. It was formation broken. Had the advantage, but not by much, but ended up destroying it on the Cav charge table, yet ran right up into these guns, which fired on them. Mess there. 2 Swedish leaders gone. We got routing Catholic units, though, all over the place. Charles was unable to get a continuation or anything. So, well, we're getting right towards the end, and it is still really an interesting battle from my point of view. Alright, onward. Damned if I can figure out what's going on. Duke Charles wiped out the little infantry dragoons there. He moved forward some of his other stuff. These guys slammed into this and were repulsed. Then they got hedgehogged by Bernard's force. They're probably not going to get to be wiped out by that. But that kind of frees things up for, well, the main line of the Swedes to try to advance, I guess. I'm not sure. I think I'm going to try to go forward and make ready just to try to rally some of these units and reform them a little bit. This is not the last turn. I got one more turn to maybe finish this unit off or whatever. Not a lot of action there, and we're at the end of the we're at the beginning of the final turn. Very little advance here. These guys pushed forward a little bit. These guys reformed a little bit. But really not a lot going on. The cannons fired at these and did another casualty. That's another 2 victory points, hey. Well, let's see how it all turns up. We got a couple of units in charge. These guys are going to try to get there. Oh, I should check. Actually, that artillery couldn't fire. So I lost the leader, the colonel that it was under, from the attack. So that didn't even happen. And there was no chance to get out of rally either. Except that's the wrong unit. Crap. Oh, I don't know. Alright, I'll do the fire to it. Yeah, the rally was the infantry. I don't know where the Cav leader is. I think I'm back a leader is kind of the issue. I think I needed an extra leader and I didn't have one. So I'm going to use this guy because the Cav is gone. They got wiped out here. But there would have been a notional leader there, which is why I would have fired. Let me take a chance to see if I can get him out of rally. Whatever he can get into quickest. Doesn't really make much difference. 0 through 4, we'll put him in a make ready. That allows him to fire earlier in the phase. That's the only real reason you want to do that. Alright, and that puts us to the end of the line. Swedes made a desperate charge, slammed into this unit, salvo fired whatever was there, destroyed it with a melee attack. This unit here reformed and was planning on doing some advancing, see if it could hit this somewhat weaker Swedish unit. Back here, reforming this, that was forced to try to get back in command. Took some fire. The Cav then hit it once it was out of Hedgehog in the rear, but got driven off itself. Not a lot of action, one more unit gone. We got some serious counting to do though. Wow. That's a lot of dead units for this game. This is, I think, the biggest and bloodiest battle that I've done yet. I've seen somewhere one side's completely wiped out. This came close. This came close. The Imperials are down to 1, 2, and then these Cavs surrounding this poor artillery. They've got a couple of captured artillery here that probably I should have been able to retake. But I was counting on winning the battle, essentially, with the Swedes. I could have sent that Dragoon around to get them, and the Catholics could have never retaken them easily. But, you know, this is what we got. Alright, I'll come back after I score this thing. Well, given that everything pretty much got wiped off the map, damn near, one's left with the impression that whoever had the bigger army ended up losing the most. And that looks like a fact here. Protestants got 506 points. Catholics got 328. What does that mean? That means both the biggest numbers and one of the bigger margins I've seen at 178. I think I've seen higher than that in some of these games. I'm not sure. You couldn't manage it in a small battle, though. That sounds like a Swedish win. I seem to remember 80 was the goal here. But let's see. So the early morning start, 178. Yeah, that's a decisive Swedish victory. Hey! I'm pretty impressed. I'm pretty impressed. I think the Swedish got very, very lucky being able to overrun some of those guns early on. Well, not overrun them, but march up to them and fire and take out the crew and make this advance up here. They have slightly better units. Their infantry tends to be higher morale, etc. Some of the better Catholic units are up there. But they were able to concentrate in the one area. They were able, even after losing sort of the Cav battle here in the center of the field, they were able to shift everything over and make one last charge. I thought it was over when they were setting up for that. I thought they had no chance of making that hill. And I have to say, the way this swung, I mean, at first I thought, oh, man, what an impossible scenario. And then as it started rolling, I'm thinking, well, they'll never catch up. I'll have to, you know, try to score these as a bonus, as Brian, the, I think, over in Saints in Armor designer suggested. But, you know, with a lot of luck and, I don't know, a really potent attack, this turned around, and that's pretty impressive. I'm not sure what's up next. I have something huge, like I said, coming up. I don't know if I'm ready to start it or if I'll do something like fling Streetcar up as a quick little filler, just to give me a little bit more time to read the rules and decide whether or not I'm going to do it in pulses or all one big nasty. Yeah. Sneak peek. All right, up it goes.